We have been programmed to believe that women can do anything that men can do and vice versa. We have been programmed to believe that gender does not matter. Unless, of course, you're in a position where you're choosing your own gender. At that point, we are programmed to believe that gender absolutely matters. Our young people, they are faced with a tough decision nowadays. When I was 16 years old, my biggest concern was passing the driver's test so I could get my license. When they took my picture and gathered my personal information, the government worker at the DMV, they didn't have to ask about my gender. It was understood. Today, teenagers, they not only have to worry about passing the driver's test, they also have to be prepared to choose at that moment amongst the 72,000 available genders. Are you male or female, binary, non-binary, gender void, gender queer? Do you choose to identify as a rake or an emotional support shovel? Indoctrination centers across the country, which the mainstream media mistakenly calls college, they are programming a generation to believe that women can fill the role of men and men can fill the role of women. Case in point, the advent of the birthing person. We used to call these people mothers, but today, colleges, they are teaching their students that men can also get pregnant. When I was in high school, the cheerleaders all had one thing in common. They were all female. Today, we've got the Carolina Panthers bragging about having the first transgender cheerleader in the NFL. The cheerleaders at my high school, they had blonde hair. This cheerleader in Carolina sports a hairstyle that's similar to Stone Cold Steve Austin. When I was in high school, the players on the football team, they had one thing in common. Before every game, they utilized the services of a cup to protect their franken beans. If the woke you indoctrination centers have it their way, protective cups, they will no longer be needed in football locker rooms. Vendors, they will be exchanging the protective cups for thongs and sports bras. A couple of years ago, we talked about Sarah Fuller from Vanderbilt here on the channel. During the fall of 2020, Sarah Fuller accomplished a first. And you guys know how much the shit fucks love a first. She became the first female to participate in an SEC football game, or a Power 5 football game altogether. Now, the way the mainstream media reacted to Sarah Fuller, you would have thought she figured out a way to prove their twisted theory that men can actually get pregnant. This woman is amazing! Did you see how far she kicked that ball? It went 30 yards! Sarah Fuller broke the record for longest kick by a female kicker in the history of college football. Yeah, outstanding. What an accomplishment. Vanderbilt was trailing 21-0 at halftime. While the young men who were sharing a locker room with Sarah Fuller, she took it upon herself to give them what the media called a motivating speech. I was in that locker room. That speech was so motivating, it brought tears to my eyes to see a young woman become a leader of men. Yeah, the speech was so motivating. Sarah Fuller did such a great job of motivating up the players at Vanderbilt. They came out in the second half and proceeded to lose 41-0. Sarah Fuller was such a great motivational speaker that Vanderbilt only gave up 20 points in the second half instead of 21. Over the weekend, there was another first accomplished at a woke you indoctrination center. Shenandoah University. It's a private college located in Winchester, Virginia. Now imagine my surprise, just imagine my surprise when I find out that Shenandoah University is directly affiliated with the United Methodist Church. All these years I have been talking about woke United Methodist. I'm sure some of you guys thought that was just hyperbole. I'm sure some of you guys thought that was a figment of my imagination. I'll be honest with you, when I created woke United Methodist years ago, it was a figment of my imagination. But now, woke United Methodist, it's real. Shenandoah University, it's a small school with about 4,000 students. For the small price of $50,000 a year, you too can send your child to Shenandoah University. For the small price of $200,000 over 4 years, Shenandoah, they will transform your child from a naive, innocent teenager into the next Megan Rapinoe. For those very lucky parents, they send their beautiful teenage daughter to Shenandoah. 4 years later, they receive a young man in return. But don't worry, parents. The $200,000, that covers the cost for the transition. Now, obviously, I'm just kidding. I don't know very much about Shenandoah University. For all I know, it could be a great school. But after this weekend, after this weekend, I am highly, highly skeptical of the decision making from the coaches at their football program. Shenandoah competes at the Division III level in college football. Translation, it's low-level high school football. If you're looking to cure your insomnia, watch a football game at the D3 level. You would be more entertained by watching a group of wanker spankers play spin the cucumber. This past weekend, Shenandoah participated in a highly competitive matchup against something called Juniata. The hundreds of people in attendance, which were mostly parents and family members of the players, they were treated to something very special on Saturday afternoon. It was a momentous occasion. When most people watch football, they're expecting to see 22 dudes competing against each other. On Saturday, during the first quarter of the game, Haley Van Voorhees from Shenandoah made history by becoming the first female player who was not a kicker to participate in a college football game. She even managed to hit the quarterback. Seems to me the players on the opposing team kind of gave Haley Van Voorhees a freebie here, but I'll let you be the judge. Hopefully this makes it through the check system, but watch it for yourself. Just in case that clip gets pulled down, Haley Van Voorhees rushed the quarterback and was credited with a QB hurry. Now, I muted the sound on purpose, hoping that the clip would make it through, but there are just so many problems with this scenario that I don't even know where to begin here. First of all, by allowing Haley Van Voorhees to play, you're putting the young men on the opposing team in a lose-lose situation. Did you notice how the offensive lineman completely avoided Haley Van Voorhees? Did you see that? No young man wants to be the dude who completely flattens the female. She was basically given a free hit on the quarterback who proceeded to fall directly on top of her. Haley Van Voorhees is 5'6", 145 pounds. Who in the hell thought this was a good idea? Let me ask you this. What would have happened if Haley Van Voorhees was seriously injured? God forbid she takes a hard hit to the head and maybe paralyzed for the rest of her life. God forbid that happens. Do you think the mainstream media would be celebrating this first? Because right now, the media is celebrating Haley Van Voorhees and Shenandoah University like they're making some kind of progress. If she was seriously injured, the media would be the first in line to demonize this coaching staff. And I'm assuming this coaching staff at Shenandoah had serious reservations about allowing Haley Van Voorhees to play. Now, this is pure speculation on my part, but from the research that I did this morning, it seems like the coaching staff might have been pressured to let her play by administrators at the university. Haley Van Voorhees, she has been on this team for 3 years now. By all accounts, she seems to be well-liked, well-respected by her coaches and teammates. Seems to be a nice young woman. They claim that she works very hard in practice. How come it's taken 3 years for her to be allowed to participate in one play? That clip I shared with you, that is the only down that she participated in. The game was a complete blowout by the end of the first quarter. How come Haley Van Voorhees was only put in for one play? Maybe, just maybe, the coaching staff at Shenandoah knows this ain't a good idea. Let me give you another reason why I think the coaching staff was pressured to put Haley Van Voorhees in the game. Guess who just so happened to be there on Saturday afternoon? Just take a wild guess. A camera crew from the worldwide leader in woke, ESPN. Let's just think about this logically for a second. Why would ESPN spend thousands of dollars getting a camera crew to a D3 football game that no one gives a shit about? Do you really think ESPN would do that if they weren't notified beforehand and guaranteed that Haley Van Voorhees was going to be allowed to play? The only reason that ESPN was there was so they could capture this history-making moment and share it with the world. This is not a history-making moment. This is not a sign of progress What this is a recipe for disaster. Yet for some reason, ESPN and the mainstream media, they are celebrating Haley Van Voorhees, claiming that she represents progress. And look, this is nothing against Haley Van Voorhees. I am sure she's a nice young woman. I don't hold her responsible. I hold the adults responsible. After the game, the Washington Post spoke with Haley Van Voorhees, another mainstream media outlet that just so happened to be in attendance. How ironic. She told the Washington Post, "I wanted to show people that this is what women can do." You know, just because you can do something doesn't mean it's a good idea. Just because something is possible doesn't mean it's progress. I could stick my dong in the mouth of a Rottweiler. It's possible. Hell, woke doctors, they might even call it progress. They would claim it's a cost-effective way to change genders. But is it recommended? No. There is a reason that girls play flag football at the high school level and boys are allowed to play tackle football. Our bodies are not built the same. That's not my opinion. That's the science. Whatever happened to follow the science? I don't bruise very easily. My nephews, they can pound the hell out of me, hit me in the stomach, arm, sometimes even my face by accident. I won't catch a bruise. My girlfriend can walk into the bedpost, she'll be bruised for a week. Our bodies are not built the same. Tracy Fitzsimmons is the president of Shenandoah University. Now imagine my surprise when I find out that she is the first female president in their 150-year existence. I wonder if the first female president had anything to do with getting the first female football player on the field. Tracy Fitzsimmons called this an extraordinary accomplishment for females across America. How? What was accomplished on Saturday? This was a publicity stunt. Haley Van Voorhees is being used by these adults. She doesn't even realize it. This was not about Haley Van Voorhees. It was about bringing attention to a woke university. They are going to keep pushing. They're going to push for this to happen at a Power 5 school. I don't have to sit here and explain to you why that won't end well. I wouldn't step onto an SEC field, and I'm 6 foot 190 pounds. I can't understand how a group of adults would think it's a good idea to put a 5'6", 145-pound female on a football field with grown young men. Maybe I'm the only one who doesn't understand. Maybe I'm stuck living in the past. What do you think? Haley Van Voorhees, does she represent progress, or does this situation represent stupidity? I think this is a recipe for disaster, and I hold the mainstream media partially responsible because they're celebrating this like it's a sign of progress. They are pushing this narrative to the masses. But give me your thoughts on this. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. I appreciate you guys and your continued support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.